Hey friends, if you're planning a trip to Sardinia and you're looking at boat tours around the La Maddalena Archipelago, I wanted to share our honest experience because I know how overwhelming it can be trying to decide which excursion is actually worth your money. We recently stayed in Santa Teresa Gallura and booked a full-day boat excursion through Viator. Before booking, I spent way too much time reading reviews, comparing tours, and trying to figure out which one would be best for our family. So hopefully this video helps someone else make that decision. And if you enjoy honest family travel reviews, make sure you're subscribed to my channel for more of those reviews. So let's get into it. We booked a boat excursion that departed from Santa Teresa Gallura and cruised through the beautiful La Maddalena Archipelago. First of all, I have to say that the scenery is absolutely stunning. The water is that incredible shade of blue that almost doesn't look real. Everywhere you look, there's another gorgeous island, another beautiful cove, and another postcard-worthy view. The excursion lasted about 7 hours, so it was a full day on the water. During the trip, we stopped at 3 different snorkeling locations where everyone could jump in and enjoy the water. One thing I really appreciated was that they provided paddleboards for guests to use during the swimming stop. That was a nice bonus and gave people something extra to do besides snorkeling. Now, let's talk about what I loved about this excursion. The biggest positive for me was definitely the crew. The captain and the helper who also cooked lunch were both wonderful. They were friendly, approachable, and especially kind to our kids. As a mom, I always notice how staff interacts with children because it can really make or break an experience. They were patient, welcoming, and made our family feel comfortable throughout the day. When we first arrived, they offered snacks, which was a nice touch. Then later on, they prepared lunch right on the boat and then gave us desserts with fresh fruit. And honestly, the lunch was delicious. They served fresh pasta and it ended up being one of my favorite meals from that day. They also kept the drinks flowing throughout the day. There was plenty available for guests who wanted something to drink, including alcoholic beverages. The overall atmosphere was very relaxed. People were swimming, sunbathing, chatting, enjoying lunch, and taking in the scenery. If your goal is to have a chill, relaxing day on the water, this tour definitely delivers that experience. This is the pink beach because it's a national park and I try to preserve the pink beach, but you can go in. The water is beautiful, turquoise, and the beach looks stunning, but nobody is allowed on the beach. You can walk. Now, let's talk about the things that did not work for me. And unfortunately, this is where my feelings become a little mixed. The biggest issue was the beach stop. One of the reasons I chose this specific tour was because the Viator description stated that we would stop at a beach. That was something I was really looking forward to doing. When you're looking at photos of La Maddalena, some of those beaches are absolutely breathtaking. I was excited to actually get off the boat, walk around, take photos, and experience one of those famous beaches in person. But during our excursion, we never stopped at a beach. Instead, we only stopped in snorkeling locations. Now, those locations were beautiful. The water was gorgeous, but it wasn't what I thought I had booked. At one point, I asked the captain why we weren't stopping at a beach, and honestly, I never got a clear answer. Maybe there was a reason. Maybe there were restrictions. Maybe conditions had changed. I really don't know. But nobody clearly explained it to us. And now that's where the disappointment came in. I think most travelers understand that plans sometimes change. Weather happens, things don't always go exactly as expected, but communication matters. And what made it even harder was that throughout the day we could see other boats stopping near some of those beautiful beaches. So naturally I kept thinking, I wish we were going there. That was honestly the biggest disappointment of the entire excursion. For me personally, it was significant enough that I probably would have chosen a different tour if I had known in advance that there would be no beach stop. The second downside was the boat itself. This wasn't a catamaran, it was a monohull sailboat. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing, but I do think it's something families should know before booking. A catamaran typically feels more spacious and stable. With this boat, it felt like space was a little tight. There were moments when it seemed like there wasn't quite enough room for everybody to spread around comfortably. Nobody was miserable, nobody was crammed shoulder to shoulder, but if you're imagining lots of personal space and a room to lounge, that wasn't really the experience. As a mom traveling with kids, I also tend to feel slightly more comfortable on catamarans because of their wide layout. That said, our kids were completely fine and safe during the trip. I just think families should know what type of boat they're booking so expectations match reality. So, would I recommend this excursion? My answer is yes and no. If your priority is relaxing on a boat all day, enjoying beautiful scenery, snorkeling in crystal clear water, eating delicious food, having drinks, and spending time with a genuinely kind crew, then yes, you'll probably have a wonderful time. That captain and helper really were fantastic. The food was excellent, the atmosphere was relaxed, and the scenery is impossible to beat. But if one of the main reasons you're booking is because the description says you'll visit a beach, I would personally ask some questions before booking. Make sure you understand exactly what the itinerary includes. For me, that ended up being a deal breaker. Not because the day was bad. The day wasn't bad at all. Actually, many parts of it were lovely. But when you're booking based on certain expectations, it's disappointing when those expectations aren't met. If you've done a boat tour around La Maddalena, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear which company you used and whether you actually got to visit one of the beaches. And if this review helped you, don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more honest reviews. I share the experiences I wish someone had told me about before I booked. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you again in the next video.